Everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today is July the 17th, and I'm going to take on a different approach than I've been taking on in the past. In the past, I was running, and I was doing a pretty great job at it by my own measure as far as continued progress and measurable results. The only thing that wasn't really happening, though, was I still wasn't achieving the original intent, which was to regain my health by shedding the excess weight. And I noticed that as I continued to interact with those around me who are struggling to maintain some other faction of their own individuality, I guess, whether it be the cleanliness of the things around them, the things that they are maintaining, or what have you, some of that unclean spirit would attach itself in a way that, again, made it impossible to lose weight. So if you're listening to this, especially if I sent this link to you, what I want to tell you is you can see in my face that I've got excess weight. You can see it. And the only thing that you can't do is understand that if I tell you that if I eat the same exact foods in, for an example, a city environment versus going to isolate myself in nature and do the exact same thing, there's a marked difference, a substantial difference in the results that I'm able to experience. In some cases, I'm not even able to experience any results in terms of regaining my health through what I would basically call simply carrying the correct body weight. So how other people see us and how we see other people reflects on ourselves. And so the only thing I can think of is that, well, maybe I'm not correctly seeing the people around me who I'm seeing, even though I'm able to interact and engage in interactions with them. The moment that it's been extremely critical to have this communication. In some cases, it's almost like I can see what's happening in the other person's world, that there's something that makes me think about them that triggers a message. And then, of course, the response shows they were thinking about talking with me for probably the same amount of time. The only difference is I'm not trying to force these communications. I'm trying to have them when they make sense. And it all takes time. And so for me to take time, for an example, today to put in my exercise and to change my approach and say, I'm not going to run. I can't continue to do this. I'm not making progress in my weight result, is not something that means I'm going to stop running altogether. It means that I'm going to change my approach. And today, from this period of time, for at least a couple of weeks, or at least a full week, what I'm going to do is try to get to 10,000 steps and on a daily basis. And what that means is, and why I'm saying it that way, is because either my smart device is off or my cadence and stride is different from everyone else's. But for me to get 10,000 steps, I almost have to do a 10K every single day. And that's basically 6.21 miles or something like that. And with all of that in mind, the whole point of everything that I'm saying is I'm going to try to do what other people are doing simply, in that I'm going to try to get 10,000 steps. And I'm going to do that for at least a week and try to report back after the fact to let you know how that went. But I'm just reassuring the thought process here that, again, either my stride is off or someone can help to envision a clearer path to success so that I can just, cut out the middle weight, for an example, and get back into the shape that we know that I'm capable of getting back into. But even sharing this information right here on this channel allows an interaction with certain people who will either communicate with in favor of somebody, or will just communicate without ever thinking about what the topic at hand was. For me, what I'm saying is I'm putting in the time to just try to just stay at a place where I can it's a little bit of an effort is all I'm trying to share. The words sometimes come easily, and sometimes there are distractions that happen in the interim, which is why I go into nature to try and communicate these thoughts. If nobody is hearing that, it's almost impossible, even if I don't eat anything at all, to lose weight for me in these environments where I'm surrounded by people. Then maybe there's something else going on in my case. It might not be the case for everybody else, but the more that I showcase what I'm doing and put the numbers out there for analysis by anyone who might be of the statistician mindset, all I've got to say is that it's unlikely for me to continue doing what I'm doing and not succeed. However, in some instances, the process has been so gradual that I've got to question, is it just where I'm at? Where are you guys at? Did you have to leave the area where you got ill in order to heal? Or is it possible to heal in place? I've tried to have these discussions with people who will actually engage in these conversations with me, and for whatever reason, I feel like I'm on a whole other plane of existence. Some of the things I see, I can't quite believe that I saw them, but other people were able to recount the story with me. And some of those things happen when we directly interact with our higher power. So is it that I'm talking about this and there are a lot of people who don't want someone to genuinely succeed, and so they've got altars set up to pray for the shortcomings of others? These are all these different thoughts that I might consider thinking about if I had all this time in the world to just sit idle. But here I am, sitting idle and knowing that I should instead be out there with the birds chirping. Hear that? It's peaceful. It's beautiful. And even as I look at the hazy horizon, and you can see it too, the sun's rising over my shoulder here. Even as we look at the hazy horizons, knowing that our air is polluted, that some of the insects that we used to have around are a little bit less and less common, even as all of that's going on, I still maintain hope that you are hearing what it is that's being shared about giving thanks for all of the opportunities that we have and putting in that time and trying to figure out, how do I make this message relevant in my line of joy? Am I bringing joy to one another? Am I bringing joy to others? Are we bringing joy to one another? Or are we only just interacting at the most basic levels that don't even include the possibility of discussion when it comes down to the spiritual aspect of our daily persistence? So I think that, as I've said before, I'm not trying to push an agenda. I'm just suggesting that peace is peace. And we either conduct ourselves in a manner that's wanting for peace with one another, or we don't. Now, that doesn't mean that we're not making missteps, that we're not making mistakes, that we're not under the guidance of things that can addict our minds away from the thought process of thinking about peace, thinking about the spirituality of it. For some of us, words are the biggest distraction, and words, if we think about it, are things that we didn't really teach one another. They were taught to us by our fathers. So as we reevaluate the spellings and all of the different things that go into this equation of life, perhaps we can find a way to greet one another in passing and say until next time. I was going to go in three directions there. One was going to say, I'll see you in 10,000 steps because that's what I've got to achieve today. So I'm going to go put in my time while it's still relatively cool on this day where we are going to reach 105 degrees and where we're going to have continued days over 100 for over 10 days. This is terrifying news for the wildlife communities. Terrifying news for the botanists, for the gardeners. Terrifying news for anything that has water that is necessary for living. It's terrifying news for the earth. And so it behooves us to find some levels of comfort and to bring comfort to those who are in need of comfort. Until next time, peace, love, and all that old school stuff.